Today's video is going to give you a framework of questions to ask if you've ever thought about, should I try an open or non-monogamous relationship? So most of you today have probably heard something about ethical non-monogamy. It's something I've talked about on this channel a bit. I've been in polyamorous and open relationships for the last several years, and it's something that has been a huge part of my growth and relationship journey and becoming the relationship coach and guide that I am. And people ask me regularly, how would I know if this is something I should try? So today's video is going to help answer that question. The first thing that I think is really important to get out of the way is this is not a last-ditch resort, Hail Mary pass effort to save a failing relationship. If your relationship is failing, this is going to only expose the holes, the weaknesses that are there, the problems that are already present, and it's going to make them way worse. It's going to shine a bajillion watt light onto those issues, and it's going to make it completely intolerable and highly likely will destroy your relationship. So if you are considering doing this because there has been infidelity, because you no longer feel attracted to your partner, because you feel like them seeing you with someone else will hopefully get them off their butt and help them to invest more in the relationship, none of those are reasons that you should try something non-monogamous, and they will likely destroy and end your relationship. So let's get that out of the way first. Another reason you should not do it is because you simply want to sleep with a lot of people. If you are deciding to truly try an ethically non-monogamous relationship, and the ethical is a very, very important part of that phrase, you are going to be required to face so many of your insecurities, your fears, what's working in your life, what isn't working in your life, and you're going to have to work with your partner on overcoming these things. So the biggest part of ethical non-monogamy that really I've come away from my experience in ethically non-monogamous relationships is it is one of the most powerful growth experiences you can have. People talk about plant medicines, people talk about years of therapy, people talk about all these things that they do to try to get clarity and insight into their lives about what's working and what's not working. And I found that ethical non-monogamy trumps all that times 1,000,000, because I've never found anything that's so intense, so laser focused, and that requires me to be so present and aware about the why, the how, and the who of how I'm conducting life than ethical non-monogamy. Let me give you an example. With many of us, a large portion of the need that we get from having a partner, from being in a relationship, is not simply the companionship, the fun, the sex, all those great things. There is also a need for validation. And many of us struggle, me included, with a lack of self-love. Loving ourselves is something that we really have to work at. And for many of us, that hasn't been patterned for us by our families. We haven't been encouraged to love our true, authentic selves by our culture. And so we look for that validation from our intimate partner. So when you kind of remove the force focus that's created by a fully monogamous relationship, and you are choosing your partner and your partner is choosing you, you have to get really clear about why you're in a relationship with this person. And if they are simply to give you hits of validation all the time because you feel like they're choosing you, you feel like they're there for you all the time, you feel like they're totally focused on you, and that is the framework that you've created, you are going to really struggle and have to get clear about why and the what of actually loving yourself. And you'll have to say, man, is this person here because I really need this validation? Or are we able to love each other and love this relationship out of the fullness of love that we both have for ourselves? And then we're able to share that with someone else. That was one of the biggest lessons, one of the first lessons that I got to learn as I was exposed to something that was more open. And I realized, wow, I am looking for so much validation from my partner, and that my ego is absolutely crushed when some of that framework of validation is removed. So if you are looking for ethical non-monogamy simply because you want to have a lot of sex and sleep with a lot of people, don't do it. It is not the path to do it. You probably should just be single. You should probably just be ethical while you're being single. And if you're really looking for this, other than saying, hey, I want to experience something that I think may work for my place on the safety, security, adventure, novelty spectrum, it's something that my partner and I are both interested in. We find this stimulating physically. We're interested in the idea, and we're also really interested in the growth potential that's going to come through this. Then it might be a really, really good thing for you to do. If you are fully monogamous and you have no interest in actually practicing ethical non-monogamy, which is totally great, that's totally fine, I would still encourage you and your partner to have the conversations that would lead up to the decision of whether you would be monogamous or ethically non-monogamous, because that will force you to confront some of those same fears, some of those same things, and then you'll be able to work on those as a partnership, as a team, without necessarily introducing the actual physical element, the additional pressure, the additional heat of the fire, so to speak, of actually going out and connecting with other people. But it's still a very, very powerful thing to do, and it will give you the opportunity to choose very intentionally. And a huge part of what I talk about, all of my coaching, all of my mentorship, it's all about choosing the kind of relationship you want. And if you choose monogamy and it's actually a choice, then I love it. I support it. It's incredible. You will get to learn so much about yourself and how you love and those same things in the container of monogamy, but you will also be allowed to choose something else. And by having the choice, by giving people the power and the license to choose, I think is an incredibly important thing and will set yourself up for a framework of success because you chose it. You signed up for whatever situation you're in. And then if you're failing in that, then if you're struggling in that, you really have only yourself to look at and the relationship and say, okay, how are we not working in this thing that we very intentionally chose? Another thing I would strongly encourage you to do is to figure out where your views are around intimacy and desire. So this is something that every person, every couple, every relationship will deal with at some point, and how you view intimacy and desire, what your natural inclinations are in these areas, is going to give you a really good picture into whether something ethically non-monogamous, open, or otherwise is going to work for you. So go to myperfectrelationship.com and there is a free quiz on there that my team and I have put together that will go through how you fall and what you feel about some of these areas of intimacy and desire. You can also get your partner to take this quiz and you can compare your results and you'll get an idea about how you both view the idea of being able to go out and connect with someone else. Is this something that's interesting to you? Is this something that you already consider on your own but you may have not talked about? Do you struggle with full physical exclusivity and the container and the pressure that focuses that sometimes is created in our mind by having a fully monogamous container? You will probably get a really good insight into maybe which way you lean. But whether or not to take the quiz or not, you definitely need to spend time just really sitting with yourself and thinking through, hey, how am I made up? How do my relationships normally unfold? What works? What doesn't work? And then how do these successes or failings fit into the kind of relationship framework that you would want to go into going forward? Finally, if you're broaching this topic with a partner, I would suggest not starting with the ethical non-monogamy open relationship question, especially if you do not have a practice of really, really high quality, very open, very honest, regular dialogue. This is probably going to cause World War III to erupt in your life. You probably don't want that, and you need to work up to this discussion. So I strongly recommend, if you haven't had a practice of really open, honest communication, you start with much less intense things than the monogamy, non-monogamy question. This is always going to be a very tricky question unless you both come to this decision at exactly the same time. There will be knee-jerk reactions of hurt, of pain, of assuming that, oh my gosh, my partner is no longer attracted to me. There is some massive deficiency in our relationship. Should I even be in this relationship? All of that is likely going to come up in the question. And if you jump right into this question, you could cause irrevocable damage. So don't do it. Work up to this very intense discussion by having a practice of open, honest communication. And if you see that your partner struggles with really open, honest communication, that you struggle to be very honest, that you struggle to openly express your needs, that they struggle to handle the needs and wants that you have, the things that you express to them, the things that you ask them to work on, to consider, how do you respond when they bring things to you that you don't like? If you can't work up past this foundational level, you may not be in relationship with someone who will be a good fit for ethical non-monogamy, because it is going to require 100% a ton of very open, honest, and sometimes very uncomfortable conversations. So this is definitely something you should work up to. I hope this gave you a few things to consider as you're thinking about whether something non-monogamous would work for you, whether you're single or whether you're in a partnership. I would highly, highly recommend you go to myperfectrelationship.com and take the free quiz. It will give you an insight into not just the intimacy and desire question, but how you show up and what you view about a lot of different of the key aspects of relationships. And these 5 areas are where 95% of relational issues and questions fall. And you will get a beautiful picture that you've probably never gotten before about what you desire and how you want to show up and the kind of partner that you need so that you can both build a very successful long-term relationship.